Welcome back everyone to more of our custom career mode and career experience. And in today's video, it's time for season number 2 in the truck series. But first, we need to do some upgrades because while season 1, by my account, was very successful in the truck series, we were a mid-tier team. Tier 2, Tier 3, that's not where we want to be. Ultimately, we want to compete for race wins, top 5s, and championships. And the only way to do that consistently is to improve both our team as well as our drivers. Fortunately, at the end of last season, we come home with $14.2 million in the bank. That should provide more than enough to get us where we need to be. But before we get to those upgrades, let's take a quick look at our ARCA as well as our truck series in our most recent season. Here in ARCA, very simple. I was extremely impressed by Sammy Smith and Michael House, both in the top 5 in points. In fact, all 4 of our drivers had a win in the series this season. I was also very impressed outside of our team by Hunter Robbins, who won the championship and had 4 race wins. So that is a pretty dominating season for him. Also, standout performances from Myatt Snyder and Alex LeBay, who is consistently trying to change my mind in the drivers I want to sign going forward, because he is having quite some success here in the ARCA series. Outside of ARCA, let's take a quick look at the truck series. And you can see that, as I mentioned, we're down here at the bottom, Tier 2s, Tier 3s. We'll get those evened up before we start season 2 with our upgrades, but overall, very successful. All 4 of our teams right there together, meaning they all made the best they could of the equipment that they had, and we got our very first truck win with Taylor Reimer. So all in all, a very successful season. Now, as far as drivers who impressed me outside of our team, I'm looking at Matt DiBenedetto. Finished 2nd overall in the standings with 3 wins as a Tier 2 team. Not bad at all. Next up was Amber Balkan, who finished 3rd in the points and brought home 2 victories as well as a lot of top 5s and top 10. So very impressed with both of those drivers. We'll be keeping an eye on them moving forward. So now let's hop over to those upgrades. Remember, we have $14.2 million. How much of that will we need? Well, we're about to find out. So first things first, let's go over to the dynamic adjustments. I want to get these done first so that we'll know exactly what we are dealing with. I love doing these. Sometimes I like to double up on them. And today we're going to do just that. Let's actually scroll up to the top here. All right, so teams, adjustment number 1 and adjustment number 2. You just can't have too many of these adjustments, in my opinions. Sometimes you get an adjustment done, then later on you have to come back and do it again just because it was so much fun. So we're going to do 2 today in each of the 3 areas, teams, manufacturers, and drivers. And then we'll take a look and see how we made out. Of course, the drivers' adjustments take a little bit longer because there's a lot more of them than any of the other 2 categories. All right, so those adjustments are taken care of. Let's now head over to the drivers for hire. Actually, we'll go one beyond that, and we'll go to driver training. So now we need to do some upgrades. All right, but we don't need to upgrade Sammy Smith. He's doing exactly what he needs to do right now. Instead, we're going to scroll down and get to our 3 originally dirt drivers. And we need to get them to their maximum performance for their current series, which is level 11. So we are all set. Let's go ahead and fill this in, and you have an opportunity to see just how much money we are spending. I mean, at this point, we've taken Kaylee Bryson from, I believe, a level 29 at the beginning, all the way up to a level 11, and it was quite expensive to do it. So let's go ahead and fill in the purchase for all 3 of these ladies, and then we need to actually head back up toward the top because we have 1 additional driver that we need to take care of here in the truck series, and that one additional driver is Haley Deegan. So we need to, she was already at 14 with our other drivers. Now she is at 11, but that took some money. So let's see how we're doing. Okay, we're down to 9 million. So it took several $1,000,000, but luckily we had some money because we're focusing on the Cup Series, which for right now is a single car team, and we are not doing well because I've not made any attempt to improve our performance, but it is providing us a lot of money. And keep that in mind. The money that you see that we have, normally I wouldn't do a career mode like this. I wouldn't have the Cup Series unlocked until the very end, which means we wouldn't have near the cash flow that we already have at the end of each season. But here it is working out perfectly, giving us the money that we need. Now, let's take a look at the series relative performance. Actually, there is one more driver that I want to take a look at, and that is Michael House. Because if you look in here, of course, Jeffrey Earnhardt is different because when I was filling out that particular series, I grabbed some other drivers from other divisions. That's why his level is a bit different than what you're seeing in most, because he's an Xfinity driver. And that's okay. We have to pay more to have him on our team and have him drive for us. But hey, that is a chance I'm willing to take to give him an opportunity to really show what he's got. But Michael House is a 19. He's the only one of our drivers right now that could really use an upgrade. So Michael House, he's going to be moved to level 16. So with that in mind, let's actually hop back over to driver training, and we'll scroll down just a little bit. He should be, there he is, right there. So Michael House right now is a 19, so I'm going to find 18. Right there we go. Oh, but I'm up one. So let's go ahead and scroll over here to make sure we get what we want. We want him at a 16. So there we go. There's 18, 17, and finally 16. Still not terribly expensive in this range, but as we get closer and closer to level 1, it's going to get a lot more expensive. Okay, so now that Michael House has been taken care of, all of our drivers in both of the series that we're really focusing on right now are maxed out on their level. This is where it's time for them to shine, or maybe they don't have what it takes to move forward into the Xfinity series ultimately. So now that that's taken care of, series relative performance. Let's see how we're doing. So here in the trucks, you can see we're a tier 2 team right now. And not only that, but we're 10, 11, 12, and 15. So the 15 is the one I'm really concerned with, because we know Kaylee Bryson lagging behind the other drivers in the driver's strength. She has just not had the good luck that some of our other drivers have had from those adjustments. But you can see she's making up the difference a little bit here recently, so not quite as far behind. So let's start out by looking at us as a team. So we're 65 if you add these two together. And performance, yeah, we're well behind in that category. I see Kyle Busch at 100. Wow. So tier 1, actually, if we look here at rank 8, which would be the final tier 1 team, that would be 65. So we need to get a little bit higher, preferably closer to this 100 mark. But 65 where we are now looks like it's good enough if you have the other two areas that are strong. And for us, we do not. Because in our case, the performance of our manufacturer is not as strong as the Toyotas in the truck series. We're not at a 105. We're at a 97. So we're down some there. So at this point, I'm thinking we need to do at least 15 additional performance. That's what I've got in mind right now. Then we look at our driver performance. I'm seeing a 93 in here, which is amazing. You want to talk about your good fortune in the dynamic adjustments. That is how you get it done. I'm seeing 85. And then I'm seeing a lot that are well below that. So we're looking actually pretty good on the driver side of things. Here in the 80s, mid 80s is not too bad overall. So I'm kind of liking this 15 for additional adjustment. But we're going to have to see if that's enough. And the way we're going to find out is I'm going to go ahead and change this. And, ooh, that gets us up to 9. So not quite where we need to be. So let's go ahead and say, okay, what if we do 20? 20 will just barely do it. So let's start there. So let's go ahead and get everybody there. Nope, it does not. I was worried that was going to happen because once you get all of these upgraded, then you can see that we're still a little bit shy. We were just fine as long as we were only going to upgrade one of the teams, but yeah, that's not going to work. Yikes. Okay, so 20 won't get it done. What about, can we do 30? 30 is going to get awfully expensive, but it might be what we need. All right, so let's just do 30. Okay, 30, based on what I'm seeing, might get it done. Okay, yep, it just barely gets it done. We are in 8th with Kaylee Bryson. The others are just fine. But Kaylee's team is the one we have to really be on watch for. And overall, that gets us to a 95, which I was worried that we might have to get really close to the Kyle Busch Motorsport team in order to compete. And it turns out that's exactly what we had to do in order to get to a Tier 1. All right, so we needed to add 30 overall. Whew, now the question is, can we afford that? All right, so here in Series 3, let's go ahead and put 30 in there. Purchase. Okay, it's not quite as expensive as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be well over 2 or 3 million, but thankfully it was not. So yeah, we're still at 7 million. Okay, that is very good. So we've done upgrades in the Truck Series as a team. We've done the upgrades to our drivers. Now let's take a look at the series relative performance, and let's take a look at our ARCA team. Where are we in ARCA? We are actually 1, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, we're fine in ARCA. We are doing very well there. Okay, that is good. I like to see that. And of course, overall performance is at 100, and you can see it's taken that because in some of the other areas, such as manufacturer, we are lagging way behind. Okay, but we're there. So we're Tier 1 teams in both of the series we're going to be focusing on today. So let's hop back over to simulated seasons, and it's time to run some truck races. All right, let's get started by clearing out these results. All right, those are taken care of. And fresh season, everybody's Tier 1. We're ready to go. All right, so let's generate the first 5 races. And again, let's keep in mind, I'm looking for, now that we're Tier 1, I'm looking for race victories, top 5s, and top 10s. And of course, as the season moves along, we'll be focusing more on the point standings as well. So with the highlight, we're looking from the highlight down to the solid line. All right, race number 1. Nearly everybody in the top 10. Haley Deegan just outside the top 10, but 2 in the top 5. That is a good way of getting started. All right, race number 2. Oof, that is not what we were looking for. We did have 2 in the top 10, but ultimately, yeah, not quite what we're hoping for. All right, race number 3. Again, oof, Jade Avedision struggled. 39th position here in race 3. So mechanical problems for her. But yeah, not what we're looking for. We need some better finishes than this. Race number 4, a little bit better, but still not the overall performance that we're looking for. All right, and finally, race number 5. And Kaylee Bryson gets us our first victory of the season. And if you'll look, Kaylee Bryson is sitting in 3rd in the points right now. So overall, I have to say, after 5 races, she is our clear leader of the team. Once again, we've said that a lot about Kaylee Bryson so far. She gets our first victory of the season in the trucks, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s. That is, in 5 races, You can't do a whole lot better than that. Okay, so far through 5 races, nobody has multiple wins. So nobody's running away with it just yet, but we'll see. The season is young. Remember, 23 races in the Truck Series season. So let's scroll over a little bit here. Try to get as many races on screen as we can. I'm going to go ahead and highlight. So we'll see our first driver, race number 6, and Kaylee Bryson doing amazing. Second place again. But we're not getting the other drivers where they need to be. Not quite as strong. I'm looking for more strength out of our other 3 drivers. All right, there we go. That's a little more like it. 3rd, 5th, and 7th. And then ultimately, Taylor Reimer is struggling these last 3 races. 30, 40, 29th. Ouch. That is not doing her any favors. And you can see in her points position, it shows. She is not having a good season. All right, let's fill out to race number 10. So race number 8. All right, Hailie Deegan is coming on. Her last 4 races, all in the top 10, and the last 2 races in the top 5. Just missed out on a victory in race number 8. All right, race number 9, another strong run for Hailie. Finally, Taylor gets it turned around with the top 5. Meanwhile, Kaylee Bryson struggling a little bit. So let's go ahead and run race number 10. And yeah, things are starting to take shape a little bit for us in this season. As we near the halfway mark, we're seeing Kaylee Bryson in 3rd position in the points, 6 top 5s, 6 top 10s, and Hailie Deegan 4th in points, 3 top 5s, and 8 top 10s. So very consistent for both of those drivers. However, Taylor Reimer is struggling. 4 races in a row, where she was well outside where she needs to be finishing. Yeah, so 17th, not where she wants to be, and certainly not looking good for her season. But again, we're not quite halfway through the season, so plenty of time to turn it around. Jade Avedisian, not really getting the top 5s that she might like. She's very inconsistent so far, but she's sitting here in 6th in points, so she is poised to strike if she can have a really good second half of the season. So this is how you do it if you're a driver and you're not quite figuring it out just yet, but you are very consistent with your finishes, so you're not taking yourself out of it. 6th position, she is definitely in position to move forward, and we need Taylor to get on board here with the program. We need her to get some amazing finishes. And race number 11, much better overall. And of course, you might have seen it pop up. Hailie Deegan gets the race win. So she continues her really good season, and in particular, her last 5 to 6 races, even 7 races if you want to go back a little further, all in the top 10. She moves up to 2nd in the points with that victory. And yeah, she's doing quite well. All right, race number 12. And Hailie Deegan is on fire. Jade Avedisian comes home with a 3rd place finish. Now we see Taylor Reimer. She's starting to settle in a little bit. Okay, we had the disastrous finishes there about 4 weeks in a row, but then we come in with a 5th, 13th, which is not great for sure, but 7th and 7th. That's how you start to build a little momentum and start to turn things around. Let's move on to race 13, where things are still looking very good. 2nd, 5th, and 7th, and then once again, Taylor not doing amazingly well, but she's hanging in there, trying to fight back. All right, race 14. Wow, very good overall. We had 3 of our drivers in the top 5. Unfortunately, Hailie didn't fare so well, but overall, we're sitting here as a team just past halfway through the season, 3rd, 4th, and 6th. So there's a lot to be happy about. All right, race 15. Yeah, there we go. Taylor Reimer gets a great finish inside the top 5. That's 2 in a row for her. And Hailie Deegan comes storming back with a 2nd place finish. So now race 16, another decent race overall. I'll call this one basically average for a tier 1 team. One team in the top 5, another that just missed the top 5, and a couple that just missed the top 10. So certainly nothing to be excited about here, but at the same time, not the end of the world either. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hide the season standings. And we're going to finish out the remainder of this season only looking at the finishes. All right, so let's go ahead and highlight where we want to be. And I'm going to scroll all the way over here. And we're going to generate these final races. So race 17 is a victory for Haley. That'll certainly help you in the point standings. 6th, 8th, and 11th. Okay, hard to be too upset about that. Race number 18, we get another victory. All right, this is some good momentum. So we come home 1st, 5th, 7th, and 10th. So Kaylee bringing home the victory, leading the way. This is shaping up to be a great season for our 1st and 4th drivers, Kaylee and Haley. All right, race 19, again, just not a lot to be happy about. I mean, yes, we love the top 5 for Jade, but the other drivers just really not performing the way we need to. Now we're back on track for Haley. She's back in the top 5. The other drivers, again, just not able to put together the finishes we need. So our final few races, and Haley comes home with another victory. Overall, 3 of our drivers in the top 5 and all of them in the top 10. These are the races that we need. This is how you impress and earn an opportunity to move your way up through the ladder. So our final 2 races on the schedule. Oh, back-to-back wins for Haley Deegan. She is asserting control. She's got to be, if not in the lead in points, she's got to be really close at this point. But is she in the lead? Can she be the champion going into our final race of the year? I got to believe both Haley and Kaylee are right there in the top 3 in points, and I'm hoping that we can get a championship this season. So our final race of the year. Okay, pretty strong race for Kaylee as well as Taylor. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to say that a whole lot this year for Taylor Reimer. But Haley did not finish the season very strong. 14th, it's not the end of the world. But was it enough to get it done in the points? So we scroll back over, and it was. So let's find out who was second and how close was it. So Haley Deegan, 706 points. Second place, all right, 693 points for John Hunter Nemechek. So no surprise that John Hunter Nemechek would be in the top 3. Matt Crafton also in the top 3. Ben Rhodes, and then of course, Kaylee Bryson comes home in 4th. So pretty easy to see who was impressive on our team. Haley Deegan jumping up and winning the Truck Series title. We gave her the equipment. She came forward. So now we know that tells me that she's earned her spot in the Xfinity Series. Not only did she win the title, 4 races, nobody won more than that. Between her and Ben Rhodes, they share the most victories. That's hard to beat. Then if you look at her top 10, she's got 18. We've got Matt Crafton also had 18, but nobody else had more than that. And then finally, 11 top 5s. We've got a couple at 12. I mean, she had an amazing season overall, and she did a lot of work at the very end to bring it home. Also, should be no surprise that Kaylee Bryson also had an amazing year. 4th in points, 2 wins, and 15 top 10s, 12 top 5, which is tied for the most in the series. So yeah, at this point, I have 2 of my slots in Xfinity already settled. Haley, because she is the Truck Series champion, doesn't matter what she does next season in the trucks, because I believe I want to run one more season in the trucks. So no matter what Haley does next season, outside of maybe finishing dead last in the points, she's earned her spot by being the champ. Kaylee Bryson, not only did she have a good year, a couple of victories, 4th in points, but she's been our team leader all along. And she's done nothing to disappoint now. So she's earned her slot as well. What about the other two, though? Did they do anything this season to really show me that they're ready for the Xfinity Series? And the answer is no. They really didn't. Now, Jade obviously did better than Taylor, 7th in points to 12th in points, but neither had a victory, and they're very close as far as top 5s and 10s. So if there's an edge right now, it goes to Jade, but it's a very small edge overall. So now let's look at the other drivers in the series. Who was impressive? So we've already talked a little bit about who was the top 5 in points. And I noticed one driver, and you're probably looking at the same driver that I am. Amber Balkan. Now, she dropped down to a tier 2. But you notice here, 16th in points. No wins. Just very few top 5s and top 10s. That's just not what we're looking for. Same thing for Matt DiBenedetto. Now, for him, he dropped to a tier 3. Now, keep in mind, some of these guys had to drop because we moved from a tier 3 to a tier 1. So it's not entirely surprising that they dropped. What I'm more looking for is how did they do based on their tier? Matt DiBenedetto, tier 3, finishing 17th. That's actually not bad at all. But he did come home with a win. Not that many top 10s. Not necessarily looking for too many top 5s from a tier 3 team. But top 10s, there's just not that many there. So he still did fairly well. But overall, just not quite what I was looking for. Who I am impressed with, Hunter Robbins and Casey Roderick. Both tier 3 teams, both come home with a victory overall. That I'm happy with. They're showing that they have speed, and there is no substitute for speed. Because if a driver has speed, but they're not quite sure how to corral it, they're very reckless, you can work with them on that. Some drivers eventually learn how to finish races, some don't, but there is no substitute for speed. As I heard Larry Mack say a long time ago, you can't push on a string, meaning that you cannot force a driver to go faster. You can't make him drive harder, drive deeper. You can't make him use that throttle pedal. But you can try to pull on the string a little bit and try to rein him in. So right now, Hunter Robbins, Casey Roderick, I am very impressed. These are two drivers I'm looking to bring into our stable. Now, where do they fit in going forward? Well, we'll just have to see. But for right now, I am very impressed. So that's going to take care of the truck series. And of course, I'll do the copy paste and take care of the financial aspect off camera because I want to focus now on the ARCA series. So once again, we are all tier 1. Let's go ahead and clear these race results out. And we're going to move through here a little bit quicker in the ARCA series. So once again, we're going to be focused on wins, top 5s, top 10s, and then ultimately, as the season progresses, 20 races here in the ARCA schedule. But we're going to be looking ultimately at their season point standing once we get enough races in to actually get an idea of how things are going. So race number 1, well, pretty good for everybody except for Michael House. Everybody else in the top 10. So let's see how we do in race 2. Michael House bounces back, and we get our first win of the year. Carson Kvapil brings it home, and Carson Kvapil's got a lot to show me because he's been probably the most disappointing overall of our picks. All right, race number 3 just missed a win for Sammy Smith, but he's sitting here with back-to-back second-place finishes, and that will certainly help you in the points. So race 3 in the books. Race number 4, another victory. Carson Kvapil must have heard me because he's on it so far this season, leading the points, 2 race victories, all 4 races in the top 10. Yeah, he wants to move up. Race 5, let's make that 3 victories this year for Carson Kvapil, 2 in a row, and all 5 in the top 10. But not only that, Sammy Smith, all in the top 10, all 5 finishes, second, third, and fifth. He's got 4 in a row in the top 5. Wow. Very impressive. Now, unfortunately, Michael House just not getting it done so far. He had a great season in his first campaign with us as a team, but so far this season just not able to put the finishes together, and that's after some upgrades. All right, there we go. Race number 6, much better overall, except for Sammy Smith, who comes home outside the top 30. All right, race number 7, woo, Sammy Smith, that's not good. We don't like it when we back up a 36th place finish with a 31st. That is not helpful. Everybody else, just sort of a ho-hum type of a day. Race number 8, and once again, just not good overall as a team. That's disappointing as a team, but I'm going to put that more on me as the team owner, because when you see finishes like this, especially when they're all jumped together as 11, 12, and 13, it tells me the equipment just wasn't there. Our setups, our crew chiefs, our teams just didn't do the best job, so that's on me. Race number 9, again, oh, no good. That is not what we need. We're a Tier 1 team, and we've had 3 races in a row where everybody is outside the top 5 and mostly outside the top 10. So yeah, this is not what we're looking for. Finally, a better race. 3rd, 6th, and 7th. Okay. Woo, that helps to turn things around a little bit. All right, so now let's move things forward a little bit. Let's start off right here. We can nearly get a full season in here. All right, race number 11. Once again, just not getting it done. We did have a couple inside the top 10, but when you're bunched up outside the top 20 like that, it's too inconsistent for our program. Now, race 12, a little bit better, 2 inside the top 5, so that makes me wonder what happened to Carson Quapple these last several races. 2 finishes outside the top 30, 20th. I mean, he's just, after that great start, he's cooled off. So that is not what we're looking for. He's still 4th in points, but he is not trending well. Another 17th, so another not good performance. Meanwhile, Sammy Smith is coming on. He has been very consistent overall. He does have a few finishes a little bit worse than what we would prefer, but he is coming on a little bit stronger toward the end of the season here than Carson. So Carson, we need him to turn it around. And of course, our other 2 drivers really haven't given me a lot to talk about so far this season because they're not up there fighting for wins, top 5s, and top 10s, at least not as much as I would like to see them. There we go. Carson Quapple, back to his winning ways. He now has 4 wins this season, 3rd in points. Now we're talking Sammy Smith in 6th. Again, look at all these top 10s. He's doing quite well there, but Jeffrey Earnhardt has now started to impress. He's now moved himself into the top 5s, but nobody else has a win. Carson Quapple's got 4. These guys have to step up and get to victory lane as well. And just as I say that, they get close. Okay, Michael House, top 5. Jeffrey Earnhardt, 2nd. But he was 2nd to his teammate, Carson Quapple, who picks up his 5th victory of the season. All right, so after a bit of a lull here in the middle of the season, he's coming back strong, back-to-back wins. Can we make it 3 in a row? No, not quite. But 6th place for him, 7th for Sammy Smith, 10th for Jeffrey Earnhardt. Okay, not bad at all, but Michael House overall continues to struggle. All right, so let's finish off. I'm going to move it all the way over once again, just like we did with the trucks. We're going to finish up these last 3 races and hope for good things. Okay, race 18, not bad. 5th, 6th, 8th, and then you have 15th. So not the best in the world, but race number 19, and who else would it be to bring home another victory? Wow, what a season he is having. And also, Sammy Smith, a 3rd place. So final race of the season, and we did not finish off strong. We did have a couple in the top 10, but 30th, 32nd, that's not what we're looking for. So now as we scroll back over, let's see how we ended up. Obviously, the standout this year is Carson Kvapil. He should have won the title. I mean, with 6 wins out of 20 races and you don't win the title, that tells me that you just had a few too many finishes outside the top 30. And ultimately, that's exactly what he had. So he comes home 560 points. Our champion is Derek Thorne, 576. So he was a few points out. And again, it's those 30th or worse finishes because Derek Thorne won the championship with only 1 race win. But take a look at his top 5s and top 10s. That's how you get it done. All right, so 1 race victory for him. Nobody comes close to Carson in wins. We do have Alex LeBay once again showing out 4 wins, but that's it. Mike Snyder, top 5 once again. But remember, this is the ARCA series. This is not where Mike Snyder wants to be, but at least he's doing well here. A couple of wins, several top 10s, and some decent top 5s as well. But overall, who am I most impressed with? Obviously, this is Carson Kvapil for our team. Everybody else did okay, but no real standouts. I really thought with the way his season started that Sammy Smith was going to put in a very good season. And he did okay, but just not as strong as he needed to be down the stretch. Jeffrey Earnhardt, not a good start to the season overall, but he finished well, coming home in 6th place overall. And Michael House, just not what we were looking for. That's not why we brought him to the team, so I'm going to be looking for a lot from him next season. All right, so Carson Kvapil, definitely who I'm looking at from our team that might have an opportunity to move up when there are some vacancies in the Truck Series. Made a strong case this season. But I'm also looking here, obviously, at Derek Thorne, who is the season champion. I'm also looking at Hunter Robbins, 5th in points, couple of wins, some nice top 5s and 10s. Yeah, I'm going to be looking to sign Hunter Robbins for sure. Derek Thorne, also very strong. Those are the 2 that I'm looking at for the ARCA series outside of our organization, because we always have to be on the lookout because, for example, if Carson Kvapil does have an opportunity to move up, that's going to make an opening on the team. Who do we sign? Same thing goes for the Truck Series. When we have some drivers that move up, who do we sign to fill those slots? We need a steady stream of potential candidates for these openings. So that, folks, is going to do it for today. Season 2 of the Truck Series is in the books. And as we hop back over and take a look at that, well, it's hard not to be impressed because we come home 1st and 4th, a lot of wins, 6 wins overall in the season, and Haley Deegan impresses mightily. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and stick around as we will continue our career experience.